Welcome, and thank you for taking part in the Advisory Group's Pyramid of Success video series. Now, as you transition into adulthood or get your career underway, or perhaps you're in a pivotal time where you need to look carefully at what the future holds, we feel that the tips and techniques that we're going to cover will help set the stage for you to reach financial success. We've created a series of 4 videos, each designed to assist you with understanding an important facet of the things that we believe you need to know to make your life easier and more successful. We highly recommend that you view all 4 videos. So let me start with an introduction here. My name is Brent Beverly. I'm the president of the advisory group. Also joining me on these videos are Chris Lee, the vice president of the advisory group, and Manny, a senior advisor with the advisory group. All of us are certified financial planner practitioners. Now, before we begin, it's always important to review that there are 5 key areas of financial planning. They are protection planning, retirement planning, tax planning, investment planning, and estate planning. Now, as a comprehensive financial planning firm, we always try to consider the impact of any recommendation we make, not on just one, but all of these areas for our clients. Now, during this series of presentations, we'll be covering the 4 areas you see highlighted on your screen: retirement planning, tax planning, as well as investment planning and estate planning. Now, there are 4 separate videos that we've prepared, one for each of these subjects. So, as I mentioned before, please be sure to watch all 4 videos. Let's first talk about the structure of your planning. This is what we refer to in our organization as the TAG pyramid. It represents the structure with different levels of priority for you to address and potentially seek new ideas. At the very bottom is the foundation. This includes the items you need to have in place that we encourage you to satisfy: the estate planning documents, the will, the healthcare directives, your insurance policies to protect you and your loved ones and hard-earned assets in your home. In this section, we'll be covering the estate planning documents that you will need as an adult. And we covered the other levels of this pyramid in our other recordings, so be sure to view those videos to learn more about these important areas. In this section, as I mentioned, we'll be discussing the morbid subjects like death and disability. They are a bit morbid, and I don't want to be a downer here, because we all need to face these events in our lives and that they can occur at any time. Now, for those of you who know me, you know that I'm a retired Marine Corps officer, so thinking about death and disability seems to come naturally to me. Now, this may come as a surprise to you, but as an adult over the age of 18, you're responsible for yourself. Your parents are not automatically able to step in and take care of these things for you as they used to when you were younger. So let me make a blanket statement here, very important. Every adult should have a will and the associated documents that we're going to discuss here, regardless of your age or situation. Now, unfortunately, this often is not the case. Let me quote here. Quote, only 53% of people ages 30 to 55 with an annual household income of $100,000 or more have an estate plan, and only 32% have a will, according to a survey from the estate planning platform Wealth. Among the top reasons people don't have an estate plan are thinking that it can be done later and assume it is something that only the very wealthy people do. This is what the survey found, close quote. Now, to be clear, a will is the document that takes care of your affairs after you die. Now, you probably already have a will. Many states, especially California, has what's called a statutory will, in case you have not done one on your own. You most likely would not be in agreement with what it says. If you have a statutory will that California provides you by default, your estate could get eaten up in legal costs as the courts decide what to do with your assets. We like to say the statutory will gives half your money to the attorneys and half to the state, and your heirs get the rest. Well, it's not too far off. More importantly, if you have kids and don't have an up-to-date will, or worse, don't have one at all, it's even more crucial that you get one done. Do you really want some random court deciding who will take care of your family? Now, we hear horror stories about unsuitable guardians becoming responsible for your children simply because they fall within the family line. Be sure your wishes and your decisions are clearly expressed on legal documents. Now, I'm going to get up on my soapbox here and do a little preaching. If you use a typical will, you may be creating a disaster for your family. Don't do that. All right, one example that I'm free to share with you is what happened to a classmate of mine at Rice University. Now, my classmate was fortunate enough to be on a full Navy ROTC scholarship. And then when he turned age 18, he received an inheritance of $180,000. More money than any of us had ever seen in our life. Now, this is 1974, at which time $180,000 was even more impressive than it was today. But, it's still a lot of money. This led to a very sad chain of events. My classmate dropped out of school, dropped his scholarship, bought a car, and took off. Now, a year later, the money ran out. No money, no scholarship, no college education. He lost a chance of a great future because his parents had not taken care of this properly. All of this could have been avoided if his parents had planned and taken care of their legal affairs by directing how much of the money at what point would be given to him in his life. He could have benefited from it. You can imagine their chain of thought, of course, as well-intentioned as it may be. Hey, if anything happens to me, just give it to my child. Help him out in life. Now, asking even the most responsible and disciplined 18-year-old to handle hundreds of thousands of dollars is setting up for a disaster. So please, make sure you don't destroy your child's future. Get your wills done. Spread out the distributions with specific goals for your children. We also meet with people who have written down their wishes on a piece of paper and think that's all they need. Now, a will that's completely handwritten is called a holographic will, and it could very well be enforceable. But it is usually not a good idea. What seems clear to you when you write it may not be clear when you're not there to explain it. Your wishes could very easily be misinterpreted if they lack specificity and legal terminology. A good example that I ran into was a guy who wrote, quote, "I leave everything to mother," and signed it. Seems pretty clear, doesn't it? Well, his ex-wife claimed the money was hers, saying that he had always referred to her as mother. In the end, she did receive a substantial portion of his estate. Probably not what he intended, but we're not clear. This is why we strongly recommend that you meet with an attorney who specializes in estate planning. Now, we find that most attorneys say they can put together wills, but not all of them know the ins and outs of creating an estate document. Often they just have the software and templates on their computer. Worse yet, there are the do-it-yourself programs, and online businesses will ask you a couple of questions and generate the documents. As an example, though, I went through this personally. I tried using a program. I'm pretty knowledgeable. I just needed a program to give me the format, right? What really happened was, after I spent half an hour to an hour with this program, I realized that the information that was being produced was dangerously wrong. Now, I have the knowledge to know it was wrong. Most people do not. Okay? You need to hire a good attorney to draft your documents, just as I did. You cannot beat the face-to-face experience with a qualified attorney. Now, we can help you find one with experience in preparing wills. We also have forms available to you to help you organize your thoughts, help you prepare for that meeting. Okay, and greatly reduce the amount of time you may spend with the attorney. It allows you to focus on there. Let me very briefly talk about living trusts. Contrary to some of the advertising you may read, a living trust is not necessary for everyone. While we recommend that everyone get a will to specify their wishes, a living trust is only needed under certain circumstances. Now, when appropriate, living trusts are valuable tools, but again, they're not for everyone. You may meet with us or meet with the attorney to determine whether your situation and level of assets would benefit from being under the ownership of a living trust. Definitely, when you meet with your estate planning attorney, discuss this with the attorney. I want to make a quick note here. Investments or policies which have stated beneficiaries are not controlled by your will. Your IRAs, pension plans at work, life insurance, annuity policies, all have you state who the beneficiaries are going to be when you set them up. Now, if the beneficiary you select when the policy is set up is one person, let's call it person A, and your will says it goes to person B, the stated beneficiary controls, and person A will get the money. Now, there are other conditions that you should be aware of when stating your beneficiaries. There's, as with anything, it can get as complex as you need. Bottom line, be sure to discuss these items with your attorney and be coached by your financial advisor. I'm going to get back on my soapbox here. If you're age 18 or older, you need these documents as well as you need to have your current will in place. You may still be under your parents' medical insurance, but once you're an adult, your parents no longer have automatic authority to make these important decisions for you. Now, the same attorney that prepares your will should also help you with these other documents that are vital in case of an unexpected happens. The documents you need to have are right here: Advanced Healthcare Directive, a durable power of attorney for asset management, and a HIPAA release. Let's review these in a little more detail. Start with the Advanced Healthcare Directive. This is the document that expresses your wishes regarding medical related needs. Now, in some states, this is two separate documents, usually referred to as a living will and a durable power of attorney for health care. All right. In California, it's combined into a single document, the Advanced Healthcare Directive. Now, when an individual loses his or her ability to make personal health care decisions, the law in most states allows that person to designate another person, called a surrogate. Hey, I love these legal terms. That surrogate can make these decisions for the individual, including the power to make end-of-life decisions. Now, Advanced Healthcare Directive may also include directions as to pain medication, directions to provide, withhold, or withdraw artificial nutrition, hydration, and other forms of health care, including cardiopulmonary resuscitation. It may include a physician designated by the patient or the patient's agent, conservator, or surrogate to have the primary responsibility for the patient's health care. It may have post-mortem powers to dispose of the remains, to authorize an autopsy, to donate all or part of the principal's body for transplant, education, or research purposes. How's that for a mouthful? The second document is the durable power of attorney for asset management. Through this legal document, you can appoint someone to act on your behalf for legal and financial matters in case you're not able to handle your own affairs. Now, remember, your will does not have any effect until you die. What if you're just incapacitated? I say just incapacitated. What if you're incapacitated? Who would you want to make decisions, and who would you want to pay the bills for you? Without this document, someone would need to go to court to get a conservatorship for you. That's expensive, it's time consuming, and it may not be the person you want handling your affairs. Put it in writing. That's what this document does. Finally on this list, we talk about the HIPAA release. You go, what is HIPAA? Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. You can tell why we call it HIPAA. All right. Now, what this document does is it allows the medical professionals, personnel and doctors, to communicate with your family and or others whom you want to have the information concerning your health. It allows the release of information and designates to whom that information can be released. Now, quick note here regarding the HIPAA release. It does not give any power to direct your attention. It is simply who can they tell about your situation. Let me add another quick note here. Most attorneys, when they draft this document for you, like to keep the list of people who can learn about your conditions very short. Most people we know like that list somewhat longer. Okay, think about who you would want able to discuss your medical condition with the doctor. A significant other, a friend, a close relative, a neighbor. They wouldn't normally be included in the details that you have here. You might want them to be able to find out how you're doing and what you're doing directly from the doctor. If so, they should be on your HIPAA release. So let me say this again. Now that you're an adult, your parents no longer have decision-making authority over your life. You are responsible for your own care. These documents tell the courts, medical professionals, and anyone else who needs to know who can make important, life-affecting decisions for you in the event that you are not able to make them for yourself. You cannot wait until you need these documents to go out and get them set up. They must be prepared in advance. As you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about this. Now, I could share story after story of people who needed these documents, and even some who were having these documents saved endless time and effort. Catch us sometime. We're happy to share them with you. Bottom line here, please get these documents as soon as you can. Another key part of your estate plan is your beneficiary statements. You need to review these periodically to make sure they're still current. As life progresses, there may be a need to change who you want these funds to go to. When you get married, for example, you may want to change so that the beneficiary is no longer your mom, it's your spouse. Please check your beneficiaries and any work coverage you may have. Look at your pension or 401k and make sure you have completed who you wish to benefit. You may have insurance through work. Make sure that that's covered. If there's no beneficiary listed, then it will need to go to a court proceeding called probate before your pension funds can be distributed. Don't put your heirs through that. They have to pay for the cost of the care. They have to pay for the cost of the attorney to take it through that. Just not a good plan. Not a good plan. I want to thank you for watching our video today. We've covered a lot today, and due to our limited time, we've had to condense various topics and discussion points. There are many factors to consider before you're able to properly evaluate your situation and determine the best way to determine your goals and pursue your goals. The advisor group is ready to assist you in determining your plan, coordinating it, and getting your path to financial independence started. Those of you who already work with us know our first meeting is always complimentary, a chance for you to meet us and decide the course of action going forward. We appreciate this opportunity to share some ideas with you and hope that you found this series of videos enlightening and helpful. As you can imagine, we're in a heavily regulated industry and are very mindful of every bit of information we provide to you. So we have some disclosures here. Now, we realize your investment dollars are hard-earned, and so we and the regulators want to make absolutely certain that we provide you with as much information as possible when making these decisions. There's a second page of disclosures. There. Third page of disclosures. Now, please pause your payback of this video if you wish to have more time to view these important disclosures. They're important to know, and rather than stay there for a long period of time, I know you can just pause the video and see them. If you'd like to set up an appointment with us to discuss further areas of concern, not only based on this presentation, but as they pertain to your financial affairs, please reach out to us. Phone number, email address shown here. The best person in our tag team to set up a meeting with one of us is Katie Barrett at extension 215. We love it when people learn new information. We like to share that. We believe the more you know, the more you like what we do. Should you have questions on this, please feel free to contact us. Here's our contact information. This concludes this portion of the presentation. Thank you again for viewing this video, and be sure to watch the other 3 videos in this series. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful year.